Here's the scenario. There's a hacker on a remote island who has tapped into the nuclear missile launch systems in the US, Russia and China and is about to create an all-out attack on the world and kill its 8 billion residents. The hacker tells you that if you press a red button to kill his ex-girlfriend, he won't launch the attack. Will you do it? Your gut, your heart, every fibre of your being is probably screaming that you press the button. One life to save billions. It seems like the only choice. It feels like the weight of the entire human race is on your shoulders, and the math is brutally simple. But what if I told you that one of the most brilliant minds in all of human history, the German philosopher Immanuel Kant, would look you dead in the eye and tell you that pressing that button is not just wrong, but catastrophically wrong. He would argue that you have a sacred duty to let the world burn. This isn't just a wild thought experiment. This is a direct collision between two ways of seeing the world. On one side, we have our modern pop culture brain, trained by movies like The Avengers or Star Trek, where the hero sometimes has to make the hard choice for the greater good. On the other side, we have an 18th century German philosopher with a wig and a fierce belief in reason whose ideas would completely dismantle our superhero logic. Today, we're diving into one of the most extreme tests of morality ever conceived. We're going to understand why Kant would make such a shocking claim, and along the way, we might just discover something surprising about the value of every single human mind. Part 1. The unshakable moral law. To understand why Kant would stand against saving 8 billion people, we first have to understand his core idea. It's called the Categorical Imperative. Think of it as the ultimate moral rulebook, but one that comes from inside your own capacity for reason, not from a god or a king. It's not a suggestion. The word categorical means absolute, no exceptions. An imperative means a command. This is your rational mind giving your emotional mind a direct order. This rulebook has two main laws that are crucial for our doomsday button scenario. The first is the formula of universal law. It says before you do anything, you have to ask yourself, what is the rule I'm about to follow? And could I wish for that rule to become a universal law for everyone, everywhere, for all time? For example, if you're thinking about stealing a bike, the rule is, it's okay to steal if I really want something. Now imagine a world where everyone lived by that rule. The very idea of owning anything would vanish. Why would anyone ever make a bike if it would just be stolen? The rule destroys itself. It's a contradiction. So it's morally wrong. The second law, and this is the real heart of Kant's logic, is the formula of humanity. This one is beautiful in its power. It says, always treat humanity, whether in yourself or in others, never merely as a means to an end, but always as an end in itself. You are not a tool. No one is a tool. Every person has a dignity that is beyond price. You can't put a number on it. You can't trade it. To use someone, to sacrifice them for some other goal, is to spit on that sacred dignity. It's to treat a person like a thing, a resource, a piece on a chessboard. For Kant, killing is the ultimate violation of this. You are not just ending a life, you are annihilating a universe of reason, choice and moral potential. You are treating a person as a mere means. Part 2. Kant's impossible choices. Now this all sounds noble, right? Respect everyone, don't use people. But critics immediately saw a huge problem. What happens when these perfect duties crash into each other? Kant's philosophy is famous for creating moral traps. The most famous example is the murderer at the door. Imagine a friend is hiding in your house from a killer. The killer comes to your door and asks you point blank, is your friend inside? What do? A utilitarian, who is someone who believes the right thing is whatever creates the most happiness for the most people, would say, lie, save your friend. But Kant, shockingly, says, you must tell the truth. Why? Because the rule, it is okay to lie to avoid a bad outcome, cannot be a universal law. If everyone lied whenever it was convenient, the very concept of a promise or a truthful statement would crumble. Communication would be impossible. You have a perfect duty to tell the truth, and you can't be responsible for the unpredictable consequences of your moral action. The murderer's evil actions are on him. Your duty is to be morally upright no matter what. This is where many people get frustrated with Kant. It feels rigid, cold, and out of touch with reality. But for Kant, consequences are irrelevant in determining morality. The moral worth of an action comes from its intention, from doing your duty, not from the messy, unpredictable results that follow. The world might be a chaotic place, but your moral compass must be an unshakable rock. Part 3. Kantian exception. Capital punishment and war. But here's where it gets even more confusing, because Kant wasn't always as strict as his theory suggests. When he moved from individual morality to the morality of the state, he made some exceptions that seemed to contradict his own rules. Take war. Kant thought countries should work toward permanent peace. He hated war, but he also admitted that sometimes nations exist in a state of nature with each other, a kind of lawless zone where conflict happened. And in those cases, he said, governments could do things that individuals never could, like kill enemy soldiers, like execute criminals. More startlingly, Kant was a firm supporter of the death penalty. He argued that if a murderer kills, the only way to respect their rationality and dignity is to give them the punishment they have, in effect, chosen for themselves. By committing murder, they willed the principle that killers should be killed. Failing to execute them would be to treat them as less than a rational being. This raises some eyebrows. How can a state, which is just a collection of individuals, have the moral authority to do something that every single one of those individuals is absolutely forbidden from doing? It's a puzzle Kant never fully solved, and it shows the immense tension when his perfect moral world meets our imperfect real one. Part 4, Test of Scale. So, let's return to our button. The rule you'd be following is, it is permissible to kill one innocent person to save 8 billion others. Can you universalize that? Kant would say no. A world where it's a universal law to kill an innocent whenever the math works out is a world where no one's life is safe. Your life wouldn't be safe. Your value would constantly be up for a vote. The moment you become inconvenient to the majority, you could be sacrificed. This universal law would create a state of constant fear, destroying the very trust that holds society together. And under the formula of humanity, pressing that red button is the ultimate act of using someone. You are treating that one person as a mere means to the end of saving everyone else. You are reducing them to a tool, a sacrificial lamb. And for Kant, it doesn't matter if you're saving one person or 8 billion. The dignity of that one person is infinite. You can't outweigh infinity with a bigger number. Infinity times 8 billion is still just infinity. The act of murder is so evil, so destructive to the moral order, that no consequence can justify it. Your duty is to do what is right, not to manage outcomes. Part 5, the alien question. But what if we tweak the scenario? What if the being you have to sacrifice isn't a human, but an alien? For Kant, it all comes down to one thing, rationality. If that alien is a rational being, if it can think for itself, understand moral laws, and make its own choices, then it is a person in the moral sense. It has dignity. Killing it to save humanity would be just as wrong as killing a human. Our duty extends to all rational beings in the universe. But if the alien is just a beast, a non-rational animal, then we have no direct moral duty to it. It's a thing. Our duties regarding things are only indirect duties to ourselves, like not being cruel, because cruelty might make us more likely to be cruel to people. So if killing a non-rational alien monster saves 8 billion rational humans, a Kantian would probably say that's permissible. The value is in rationality itself. And what about the messy middle ground, such as an alien-human hybrid? And this is where it gets really interesting. Kant's system would force us to ask one question. Does it have a rational will? Can it understand duty? If there's a spark of that humanity, that capacity for reason, then it is an end in itself. Its biological origin doesn't matter. Its moral worth does. To sacrifice it would, once again, be to commit a profound moral crime. Part 6. Dignity and the difficult answer. So, where does this leave us? Faced with the end of the world, Kant's philosophy can feel alienating, almost inhuman. But there's a different way to look at it, a way that offers surprising comfort, especially for those who are more introspective. Our world today is obsessed with outcomes, with metrics, with analytics, with viral numbers and bottom lines. We are constantly asked to be utilitarian, to calculate the most efficient path, to see people as demographics and data points. In this noisy, results-driven world, the deep thinker often feels out of place. They see the complexity, the moral shades of grey, the dignity that gets lost in the spreadsheet. Kant's philosophy is a fortress for this kind of mind. It says that your value is not in what you produce, not in your utility to others, not in your popularity or your net worth. Your value is intrinsic. It is rooted in your very ability to think, to reason, to choose to be good. That can never be taken away. It's a value that exists even when you're alone. Even when you're quiet, even when the world isn't watching. When Kant tells you not to press the red button, he is making the most radical statement imaginable in a world that loves big numbers. He's saying that the greater good is a tyrant, that one conscience, one quiet, rational mind standing firm on a principle of human dignity is more important than the chaotic roar of the crowd. It's a philosophy that champions the individual not as a rebel, but as a sovereign world of reason. You are not a tool, you are not a means to an end. You are the end. And in a universe that can sometimes feel cold and calculating, that is a profoundly beautiful and hopeful thing to be.